You've just stepped into the Caring Corner, where life's caregiving challenges meet a whole lot of heart and a dash of sass. I'm Mischelle O'Neal, and I'm here to serve up insights, inspiration, and real-life tools to help you navigate caring for your kids and aging loved ones without forgetting about you. Expect everything from time management hacks and emotional wellness strategies to technology tips sprinkled with humor and tenacity. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Most of us go through our closet each season, right? Swapping out our clothes, donating items that are worn out or don't fit, or simply they just don't make us feel good anymore, or they never have. But what if we took this same approach with the parts of our lives that are weighing us down? What if we finally cleared the mental and emotional clutter that's exhausting us? Hey, Mischelle O'Neal here, your host and resident emotional wellness coach. And today on the Caring Corner, I'm talking about the power of an emotional purge. We'll look at how to let go of people, commitments, and habits that don't support the best version of you. So you can protect your energy and create space for what truly matters. So, how do we recognize this clutter in your life? Well, you start by identifying what no longer fits. Just like we do our clothes, why are we holding on things that are two sizes too big or two sizes too small? Think about those clothes that once made you feel great, but now just don't fit right. In fact, all they seem to do is emphasize your imperfections, right? You're too small, you're too big, there's a bump here, there's a whatever there. And relationships, routines, or obligations can actually feel the same way. But unlike clothes, these parts of our lives are harder to notice until they're weighing us down or beating us down. So, how do you recognize the emotional clutter that doesn't fit anymore? Start by looking for those things that drain your energy, that add stress, or feel out of alignment with who you are now. Did you get that? Not who you were before, but who you are now. It's just like those clothes. It doesn't matter that it's cute and it's a classic and it fit 5 years ago. The thing is, it doesn't fit now and you can't wear it now, right? So maybe it's that weekly coffee date with someone who leaves you feeling totally exhausted. Or it could be a project that you took on that feels more like an obligation than a joy. It's just weighing you down because every time you think of it, it's the last thing you want to do. And when something no longer fits, it usually shows up as a resistance, a heaviness, or even resentment in the smallest everyday moments. So, are you getting a picture of what I'm talking about when I say how you can recognize this clutter that no longer fits in your life? So, what do I look for? If you're constantly dreading a certain commitment or interaction, that's a sign that it may not fit anymore. Or when you feel relieved after someone canceled, or when you secretly hope that it gets postponed, these are clues that maybe it's time to let it go. And we've all been there. When you have an appointment on your calendar and you think, oh my gosh, I just don't have time for this, or I don't feel like doing this. And that person calls and says, I'm so sorry for the late notice, but I can't make it. And I really feel bad. And you say, hey, it's okay. I understand. But secretly, it's like, phew, I am so glad. That's what I'm talking about. And we've all had that feeling, right? If it's hard to show up as your full, authentic self around certain people, consider whether that relationship still has a place in your life. Did you hear that? Okay. So now, if you're like most of us, there's a reason that you're holding on to these. Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's loyalty, or even because it's a habit. They've always been around. They were your best friend in high school or whatever. But just like that sweater that someone gave you as a gift, you rarely wear it. And we sometimes hold on to relationships or commitments because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings or feel like we're letting them down. But the fact is that holding on to what doesn't serve you doesn't help anyone in the long run. It doesn't give you more to give. It drains the energy that you could be investing in what actually excites or inspires you. And imagine carrying around a weight every day, a bag full of things that you don't need, but feel obligated to carry. Over time, that weight wears you down, taking up mental and emotional space that you could use for things that really matter. When we hold on to people who aren't good for our growth, we start to feel stuck, like we're not moving forward, or energy is tied up in maintaining relationships that no longer support us. If we continue to commit to things we don't enjoy, we start feeling resentful, even towards things that we once loved, because we're so stretched thin. And if we don't clear out those routines or those habits that aren't aligned, it becomes harder to show up for the things that we do value, for our passions, for our families, or even just for a moment for ourselves to rest. Even that becomes a chore. Imagine if you could take off that weight and breathe a little easier. By clearing out what no longer fits, you give yourself the freedom to say yes to the things that lift you up, to be present with people who actually energize you, and to feel more in control of your time and energy. Just like that relief you feel after purging your closet, letting go of emotional clutter brings a kind of mental clarity and energy. You start to feel more energetic, clearer, and more connected to the things that truly bring meaning to your life. And speaking of energy, how can we make sure that we protect it? Look, energy isn't limitless, it's precious, and it can be drained by people, obligations, or habits that don't serve us. In psychology, there's this concept called cognitive load. Essentially, it's the mental effort that we use to manage tasks and handle everything life throws at us. And when our load gets too heavy, it impacts our ability to focus, to manage stress, and to be fully present. So, when we're carrying around emotional clutter, it's like trying to juggle with too many balls in the air, and eventually, especially if you're not a juggler, you're going to drop a few. So imagine each of these obligations or draining relationships as heavy objects in a backpack. That backpack you're carrying every day. The weight isn't visible to others, but you feel it. Each time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your well being, it's like slipping another rock into that bag. You can carry it for a while, but over time, that weight starts to wear you down. And eventually, you're just too exhausted to say yes to the things that actually bring you joy or make you feel alive. Have you ever walked through an airport or went somewhere with a backpack on your back? And over time, if it's a long period of time, it feels so heavy that it does extensive damage. Look, letting go of this emotional weight doesn't just free up energy, it opens up space for growth, joy, and resilience. Science even shows that when we release emotional stress, our body's fight or flight response, the one that keeps us on high alert, it actually starts to calm down. Stress hormones like cortisol decrease, and we can better handle these challenges. Letting go literally helps your body and your mind work together in a way that, well, that restores harmony. So let's go back to that closet we were purging. Remember, when you get rid of clothes you don't wear or that don't fit, you make room for pieces that you love, things that reflect who you are now. In fact, I have a rule: nothing new unless I get rid of something. And I just want to say on a side note, as you grow and as you change, have you noticed sometimes even your favorite color changes? Yeah, it could be that drastic. Regardless, emotionally purging is the same. Letting go of what drains us means we can start filling that space with better relationships, better activities, and habits that actually bring us peace, purpose, and joy. It's creating room for resilience and self alignment. Listen, if we keep holding on to things out of guilt or habit, it's like wearing a coat that doesn't fit anymore. It's restrictive, it's heavy, and it keeps us from moving forward. But when we release that weight, there's a powerful sense of freedom, of being unburdened. It's a release that allows us to breathe easier, to focus on what truly matters, to stretch, and to live with a sense of purpose instead of obligation. So, protecting your energy by purging what doesn't serve you, it's not selfish. It's necessary. It's a way to reclaim freedom over your life. It's giving yourself room to focus on what actually matters, what aligns with who you are, and what gives you joy. Here's how we can start that emotional purge. Are you ready? Number one, identify what needs to go. Just like in your closet, when you go through your closet, we ask, does this fit? Do I actually wear this? In fact, when's the last time I wore this? I have that 1 year rule. Ask, is it damaged? And if it is it mendable? Or am I holding on to it for, well, no good reason? If I know I'm not going to mend it, if I know I'm not going to sew on that button, if I know I'm not going to mend that tear, let it go. That's the same approach that we can bring to our lives. Ask yourself, is, is this adding to my life or is it draining me? Does this align with who I am now or am I holding on to it out of habit or guilt? And this isn't just about people. Look at routines or obligations or even beliefs that you're carrying. It might be an activity that you used to enjoy, but now feels like a chore. You're just doing it because I've always done it. Or maybe a long held belief that I have to take care of everyone else before myself because that's what you've learned. And number two, give yourself permission to let go and bless others. Yeah, I said that. Letting go can be a way that you bless others. So, what am I talking about? Letting go doesn't mean discarding things without care. Just like when you donate clothes, you're passing them on to someone who might genuinely need and appreciate them. Think of this emotional purge as an opportunity to bless others, creating space for them to grow in areas where you have moved on. For example, say your old hobbies or roles. Maybe there's a committee role or group activity that no longer serves you. Maybe a group that you've outgrown, but someone else might step in and find purpose there. When you step back, you're giving someone else the chance to grow and bring fresh energy to the role. Just as we pass on clothes that no longer suit us, it's about releasing old patterns. Releasing old mindsets or routines can actually open up new ways of thinking for ourselves and sometimes even inspire those around us. We're not only making room for our lives, but we're creating this space for others to grow as well. Think of it as shifting from one place of scarcity where we feel that we have to hold on to everything to one of abundance. By letting go, we're trusting that there's enough for everyone. And sometimes what we no longer need can be exactly what someone else is looking for. And number three, creating boundaries and new commitments. We know boundaries is my favorite. So once you've identified what to release, set up boundaries to protect what matters most to you. Boundaries are like fences around your energy. They keep out what drains you and protects what nurtures you. And by choosing how to spend your time, you're saying yes to the things that align with your well-being and opening new doors for growth. I can't say this enough. So, here are some practical steps that we can actually take. Again, setting boundaries. If a relationship drains you, but you value it, set boundaries to protect your energy. Limit the time together or choose settings that feel more comfortable. How about create new routines? Just like bringing in a new piece of clothing that you're excited to wear. Think about routines or habits that can replace the old ones. Try starting your day with a few minutes of quiet or an activity that brings you peace, creating a fresh foundation. So, what if you choose to ignore the need for boundaries? Shame on you. Without boundaries is like an overflowing closet. It's cluttered, overwhelming, with no room for what really matters. With boundaries, it's like a curated space filled only with what brings you joy and purpose. Letting go and setting limits isn't about deprivation, it's about creating a life you love and leaving space for others to succeed. Look, as you start this emotional purge we've been talking about, remember that you're not just saying bye bye. You're creating space for blessings in your life and in the lives of others. Just like they say, you know that old saying, one person's trash is another person's treasure. Letting go can be an act of generosity. When you release what no longer serves you, you open up room for growth, for joy, and for new opportunities to flow into your life and into the lives of those around you. Letting go isn't easy, but it's one of the most powerful ways to honor yourself. When you release what's weighing you down, you're not just creating space, you're giving yourself permission to breathe, to grow, and to reconnect with what truly matters. So, this week, I want you to take one step. Choose one area in your life to examine and ask yourself, what can I release to create more freedom for myself? And if you need support to stay grounded in this process, go ahead and try my 3 minutes to calm guided meditation. I'll put the link for it below. Look, it's there to help you recenter, breathe, and take that first step into a more harmonious, more intentional life. Until next time, it has been my honor to be here with you today. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, that's a wrap for today at the Caring Corner. We've tackled some big topics, but remember, you're not in this alone. Subscribe to keep the wisdom and warmth coming.
And stay tuned for amazing guests who'll be joining us to help round out your caregiving toolkit. Catch you next time and keep conquering those challenges.